Jojo's All-Star Battle came out back in 2013 on the PlayStation 3 and absolutely nowhere else, which is perhaps why I was excited to see the game finally making it to other consoles. Last Friday I played All-Star Battle for the first time on stream, and I've spent a few more hours with the game since then. Spent way too much on this thing. It was actually a new game. I bought it on Amazon. It came brand new. They still sell this stuff. It came from France though, so combattez avec style. Now, at first, All-Star Battle R didn't look like the world-shaking announcement that CC2 promised to make, but looking deeper into it, even if you've played this game back when it came out, it looks very worth it to pick it up again. Because this Jojo game is way bigger than it initially seemed. And hey, for more updates on anime games, make sure to hit that subscribe button down there. It is free, and it helps me out a lot. Appreciate it. Thank you. Alright, so there are a lot of improvements from the original game to this remaster. Let's call it a remaster. The first big reveal was obvious. They put it in big letters in the trailer. 50 playable characters. The original game featured 41 playable characters, so if you do the math, that means the remaster will have 9 new characters. Wrong! The remaster will actually have 10 new characters. How could you fail the simple math test? If you look at the characters in the trailer, you can count a total of 40 characters, not 41. So who's missing? The answer is Bao. The character is nowhere to be found. Bao was the only guest character in All-Star Battle, the only character that wasn't actually from Jojo. Instead, he was from another manga from the same author, which is why his style fits so well into this game. Now, my time with Bao was awesome. I love this character. I understand he's a bit of a meme in this game and can be extremely strong and oppressive offensively, but hilariously weak in his defense. And that's mostly because he has increased block stun as a mechanic. Like, if he blocks a move, he will block for way longer than any other characters, making unsafe moves actually safe against Bao. And this is so bad for him. It makes some setups completely unblockable. The simple act of jumping with a strong attack and throwing is a guaranteed hit on Bao. He cannot take that throw. But that also makes him a pretty unique character that I've had a ton of fun with. In this game, you also have different character types. You have your stand types who can summon stands, changing their movesets mid-battle. You've got Hamon characters who can charge meter and infuse Hamon into some of their moves for extra damage, and you've got vampires who will heal over time if they're not hit. There are a couple of other types, but these three are the main ones. Bao, however, was one of a kind. His style was the Bao Armored Phenomenon. Upon hitting the style button, he buffs himself, gaining armor on any special attack he does next. And I understand that maybe this wasn't a Jojo character to begin with, but we are losing a very unique character in the game for sure. That said, we're losing him, but we're gaining 10 other characters, so I'll take that trade any day. As for who they are, we still don't know for the most part, but the Japanese website did accidentally leak 2 of them, Trish and Prosciutto. Shout out to RaidoADV on Twitter for compiling a bunch of information from the Japanese website. Definitely made this video a lot easier. Both Trish and Prosciutto are from part 5 of Jojo. Trish is part of Bruno's gang, kind of, I don't want to spoil too much, and Prosciutto is kind of surprising given his small role as an antagonist, but his stand is really cool, and I bet that's the reason why I made it to the game. So that's 2 out of the 10 new characters, and the other 8 could really be anyone. This game goes way beyond the anime. In fact, back in 2013, when this originally came out, there was only 1 animated season, which contained part 1 and part 2 of Jojo. Part 3 was coming out the following year, and this game has characters from part 8, which were still far from getting in animated form in 2022. Games don't do this very often. They usually stick to anime. They don't go into manga territory. But not only did this game do that, they put freaking Jotaro in the cover. This was a manga-only character at the time. This is very ballsy. But that's part of the reason why this remaster is also very exciting for Jojo fans, because back then, they just hired a bunch of different voice actors to voice those characters who would later not be recast for the anime. But now they're recording the voices again with the actors from the show. I will say though, Noriaki Sugiyama, the voice of Sasuke as Bruno, was an inspired choice and one that I'll definitely miss if it doesn't come back. Anyway, good luck predicting who the final 8 characters are, because I have no idea. The game is also coming with a lot of new stages. A lot of them have been recycled from Eyes of Heaven. Now, Eyes of Heaven was another Jojo game by CyberConnect 2 that came out 2 years after All-Star Battle. That was a very different type of game, more of an arena fighter, but an arena fighter where the stage plays a bigger role than we're used to in this genre. Think more of a J-Stars with those big open maps and a ton of walls and houses that are all destructible. It's more kind of that game. Now, as far as I know, though, both of these games were built using the same tech, so a lot of the content from All-Star Battle also made it to Eyes of Heaven. And now the exact opposite is happening. They are taking stages that they made for Eyes of Heaven and porting them over to All-Star Battle R. A few examples include the Cairo Overpass from Part 3, Boing Boing Cape from Part 4, Rome's Colosseum from Part 5, and the Kennedy Space Center from Part 6. Now we're only getting started with this video, and so far we've already covered 10 new characters, new voiceovers, and new stages. A lot of new content already, but we're not done. There's also a new game mode called All-Star Battle, and this will replace the old story mode. It will follow the original story and have some dream battles with original dialogue. Now, even though this is a new mode, it's hard to tell exactly what is new about it, because this description could just be used to describe the old story mode. It also followed an original story, and after you finish each chapter, you also have an alternative story to play through. I sure hope this new All-Star Battle mode is a better story mode. The original one wasn't anything special. It's basically just text telling you the story, followed by one-on-one battles. Really boring to get through in my opinion, and this doesn't sound any different, but I guess we'll see once it comes out. Arcade mode is also getting revamped. It still has the classic arcade mode with 5 difficulties instead of the 3 that were present in the original game, but they're also adding a new endless mode where you can just keep going for as long as you can survive. Arcade doesn't really do much for me personally. What I'm way more excited about is the potential additions to practice mode. There's a screenshot that shows a command input at the center of the screen, and while this doesn't mean much on its own, it shows that they're doing something on practice mode. The practice mode in All-Star Battle is fairly basic. You've got some damage information and you can set your opponent to stand, crouch while blocking or not. There are a few options, but not as many as you'd like. Revamping practice mode will definitely make practicing and learning this game a lot easier, especially if they end up adding something akin to combo challenges. Because you can really go crazy with combos in this game, and that's a perfect segue to talk about how this game will change in the gameplay department. This is the stuff that really matters to me and what has me the most excited. The number of systems and features they're adding is really what takes this remaster and makes it bigger than any of us could have foreseen. Adding new content is great, but it's also kind of expected. These gameplay changes though, they sound amazing, and it's CyberConnect 2 going above and beyond. First of all, the game will now run at 60 frames per second, which is a very welcoming change for a fighting game. I sure hope it doesn't break anything. Last time CC2 added 60 FPS to a game, it was Demon Slayer, and it came with a bunch of issues. Hopefully they've learned from that experience, cause they have been fixing those issues ever since the 60 FPS patch. It's still not perfect, but they're working on it. So even though I want 60 FPS, it does scare me a little bit. The website mentions adding hit stops with the remaster. Hit stops are those freeze frames when an attack lands. It helps convey the impact of hits connecting, and it also works as a nice piece of feedback for the player to let them know that an attack connected, that it wasn't blocked. Hit stop was already present in the game, but now it's even more noticeable and more pronounced, and it looks great. Probably feels fine too. The only way this could hurt the game is if it changes the timing of your buttons for combos and stuff like that, but not to worry, because they're making changes to input buffering as well. Basically, input buffering is how the game reads your buttons and makes it easier for you to time them for combos. When I first picked up the game, the input buffer felt fine, but the more I played it, the less I liked it. Once I started diving into more technical combos, the buffer feels super tight, and sometimes that's okay, it's a design choice. But All-Star Battle is going to be played by a lot of people who are new to fighting games just because they're Jojo fans. So making the buffer a bit more friendly is definitely a welcome change. As it stands right now, I feel like the game really wants clean inputs, and that's just something that new players aren't gonna do. The game is also bringing input shortcuts, and if you didn't know, this is a proper fighting game. It has motion specials, and it doesn't just have the quarter circle motions like Dragon Ball FighterZ. You've got half circle motions, you have Z motions, which I'm fine with, but that's maybe a step too far for some anime fans. Having input shortcuts is usually fine, especially if they're optional, if it's something you can turn on or off in the options menu, because sometimes they can get in the way of other inputs, and that's when they become a problem. So it all depends on how they treat those and how they end up implementing them. Now, most of these changes are quality of life changes and kind of modernizing the game a little bit, but they're also adding brand new systems. The first one is air dashing. This is an insane change that will completely change the game. As far as I know, it's also the first of its kind. Has there ever been a 3D fighter where you can strafe around the opponent but also air dash? I can't think of one right now, but maybe you know of any in the comments. And I'm not talking about arena fighters, I'm talking a 3D fighting game, which there is a big difference there, but I'm not gonna get into it. That's a whole video. I do wonder how these two mechanics will interact with each other. If you air dash towards an opponent but they sidestep, what's gonna happen? Do you just completely whiff it? I don't know, I'm curious. I'm a big fan of air dashing though, maybe because of all the time I spent playing fighters. Heck, I try to air dash in every single fighting game I play at least 10 times before my brain decides to accept that no, this game doesn't have air dashes. So this is one of the most exciting additions to me. But there's another big mechanic they're adding, and that's assists. The original game is just 1v1. You pick a character, you fight against another. In the remaster, you're gonna be able to pick a second character to work as an assist. Screenshots reveal that these assists have their own stocks, and different assists seem to have a different number of stocks, which I'm sure will come into play balance-wise. Some assists will be stronger, but you can use them as many times, and others will be weaker, but you can use them more often. It's important to note that this is not a tag system. You cannot tag in your assist character and have them be the active character for a while. You'll still be fighting one-on-one, but occasionally you can call the second character to come in and do an attack. These assists can also be used to get you out of combos, which immediately reminded me of Demon Slayer, where you call an assist for one bar, but they can also save you from a combo if you spend both bars. So they're basically adding a combo breaker mechanic, which I assume will spend all the stocks of your assist. If they added a combo breaker mechanic to the game as it is, I would say it's completely unnecessary. I've only played it for a few days though, so someone with more experience might disagree with me here. But with the addition of air dashes and assists, maybe it becomes a welcome feature. I'm not really sure what to think of this combo breaker mechanic specifically. We'll have to play the final game to see if it's actually a good addition that belongs in a game like this, but I'm definitely super excited about the possibilities that adding an assist brings to the game. With all of these changes, they're also balancing the entire roster. Buffs and nerfs will come, so the characters won't be exactly as you remember them if you've played the game before. Balancing their whole roster for a remaster was already something welcome, but with the addition of all these systems, it becomes a necessity, so I'm happy they're doing it. And that's a lot, right? I'm not alone when I say I didn't expect this much from a remaster. I am super impressed so far with all the announcements. All that's left for them to go all the way is good online. But that's where the news aren't so good. The website shows that there's going to be ranked and player online modes, so you can climb the leaderboards or you can play with friends. But there's no mention of lobbies just yet, and no mention of rollback netcode of any kind. This being CyberConnect 2, who is not famous for great online experiences. In fact, Demon Slayer still doesn't have lobbies, there's still no way to spectate matches in-game, and it's also published by Bandai Namco, who still hasn't seen the light of rollback netcode. Every Arc System Works game out there is getting a rollback patch, except for the one published by Bandai Namco. Online is 100% the thing I'm most scared of in this remaster, and that's a big deal, because good or bad online determines how long this game lives. It will be dead within a week if it has bad online. It's as simple as that. And I'm not very optimistic, but as usual, I hope I'm wrong. But that's all for today. All Battlestar R looks like a very exciting release to me. I've been having a ton of fun playing this game for the very first time and discovering the whole roster. Characters have a lot of unique gimmicks to them. There are a ton of fun to discover, and there are so many Easter eggs, specific character interactions, dramatic finishes to discover that it's been a blast so far. But how are you guys feeling about this remaster? Now that you have all this information, are you excited? Are you worried? Let me know all of your opinions in the comments down below. And don't forget to subscribe for more anime gaming goodness. And as always, thank you very much for watching. My name is Globku, and I'll see you next time. Bye!